Welcome to your reset with Christiane Piano, where the purpose is to support you in releasing all that you are not, so the truth of who you really are can emerge. This is accomplished through working with the body-mind from an ontological perspective. We use various modalities to support you in supporting yourself exactly where you are, so that you may return to an experience of wholeness and ease, moment by moment. Deep reflection is one of the greatest tools through which to do this. To take a moment, to pause, assess, reflect, and literally and figuratively reset, come back to center, and move back into your one and precious life with increased clarity and purpose. Hello, this is Christiane Piano, and this week's episode is a reflection on fogginess. The fogginess we will be working with is literally the fog that comes with internal and external weather patterns. You will be invited to dive into the experiential and explore supporting yourself and practicing self-care to develop and/or deepen your capacity to ride the waves of your life. We have now moved into the month of October, and depending on where you are located geographically, you may be experiencing an increasing amount of fog. And if where you are, that is not the case, you can reach into your former experience of literal fog as a reference point. We can experience mental fog, body fog, and then there is the literal fog from a weather pattern that we see outside of us in the sky. What is fog? Well, fog is a visible aerosol consisting of tiny water droplets or ice crystals suspended in the air, at or near the Earth's surface. It can be considered a type of low-lying cloud, usually resembling stratus, and is heavily influenced by nearby bodies of water, topography, and wind condition. Fog appears when water vapor, water in its gaseous form, condenses. During condensation, molecules of water vapor combine to make tiny water droplets that hang in the air. Sea fog, which shows up near bodies of saline water, is formed as water vapor condenses on bits of salt. Fog is similar to, but less transparent than mist. Fog reduces visibility. We are now in the month of October, and as the Earth's surface continues to cool, provided a deep enough layer of moist air is present near the ground, the humidity will reach 100% and the fog will form. So let's just take a moment to take a look at your relationship to fog. Do you like it? Not like it? Do you find comfort in it? Do you escape it and avoid it at all costs? Do you experience lightness or heaviness? Are there any emotions connected to it, like perhaps melancholy, sadness, helplessness, frustration? Or does it create a sense of being enveloped in a soft haziness. Whatever your associations are, make a mental note or simply jot it down. If you need to put this episode on pause, feel free to do so. There's no need to rush through a reflection. You have created the space to reflect and to support yourself so you can slow down, find a quiet place, and just put the outside world on pause and go inward for a while. When things are not clear, you feel foggy, lack of clarity in the mind. This can bring about an experience of frustration, confusion. Now, frustration is a mix of sadness and anger. So, whatever you are lacking clarity in, fogginess around a decision you need to make, you can use this episode to support you in being with your sadness and anger. And if you have more of a confusion that comes along with this, then know that confusion is nothing more than not knowing, but thinking that you should. October brings that feel in a certain way. The weather reflects back to us an opening, a shifting of gears, a possibility for new rhythms, cadence, etc. And here you are. This is a wonderful time of year for deep reflection, and in that space, you can create an invitation for clarity. So here we tie all of this into body-mind well-being. When I refer to well-being, I am referring to your capacity to be with what is, aware of when you are not, and then showing up for yourself to support yourself back into balance, reconnecting to who you truly are. When we get lost in our experiences, we forget who we truly are. And when we can support ourselves in riding the wave of our experiences, we allow the energy of it all to ride through us. And usually, we are challenged by the emotions, thoughts, and physical sensations that we don't like, that create discomfort to ride through us. But when you learn to do this, even on the daily, you are supporting yourself in being with whatever is being felt, allowing yourself to and the experience to move through you, and supporting a digestion and a clearing out. Over time, once you clear out on the daily, you have an opportunity to then get to the old stuckness of the undigested, to soften, clear out, and eventually be released. This does wonders for your overall health and body-mind well-being, distinct but not separate. Whenever you find yourself in a foggy state, whether you are working at your computer on a project, writing, creating, needing to make a life decision, no matter how big or small, needing to have a conversation with someone, whatever it may be, and you are experiencing a lack of clarity, a fogginess, the greatest support you can offer yourself is to take a pause and literally or figuratively take a step back. If you are sitting at your desk, get up and walk around, or simply stand and take some deep breaths. Move your limbs and shake out the energy of stuckness. If you are on an airplane, train, or car, and your space is limited, you can practice shifting your breath patterns and wiggle your joints around, stretching in the space you have available. Even if that just means moving your jaw around in circles and stretching your facial muscles. If you are in a space where you can roll out a mat, you can shift and move your energy freely as you navigate the inner knotted patterns. It does not have to look any particular way. To shift the mind's focus, it can be helpful to do circular, non-linear movements and literally allow the box to disappear, the one in your mind, as well as the space you are moving in. If you are on a mat, it can become a box. So feel free to be creative in how you use it as a support rather than a limiting space. I think you get my drift. Shifting your energy within to allow yourself to be with what is and to release and let go of the tightness, the holding, the gripping, and the grasping. Clearing the internal space of your body-mind, remembering that you have a body-mind and that it is the location of all your experiences, but that is not who you are. You can support yourself in being with whatever is unfolding without identifying with it. I now invite you to take a moment and identify whether you are present to mind fog or body fog and how it is showing up. It does not have to be a foggy day for you to be experiencing this, but often the two are correlated. Once you have identified what you are present to, you can write it down or make a mental note. For example, I'm experiencing body fog. This will be a physical sensation, a stuckness, a knottedness, a sense that something is not flowing and will show up in your breath as well. There may also be a note of emotion you are present to. You will then attempt to describe the experience without going into the why. Simply notice what is unfolding. Now, if it is mind fog, it will be thought related, and you can take note of the not. It will be in your thought, and it will show up something like, something is not that should be, or something is that should not be. Whether you are aware of the body or the mind, know that one is not better than the other. The knots that show up just show up differently, but they're the same knot. So getting at one will support you in releasing in your body-mind as a whole. We can try this on together here. I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment. If you're driving, please do not close your eyes. Perhaps pull over, come back to this for reflection at another moment. Okay, so your eyes are now closed, and I now invite you to shift your awareness, your focus and attention, your energy inward. And closing the eyes supports you in doing that. You will be aware of the outside noises as well as the inside noises. Just allow them to be the best you can. Allow your attention to move towards the quiet, the stillness. You'll want to practice this in short doses until you find an internal rhythm that feels comfortable. Once you've settled into that internal rhythm, begin to listen to your breath and follow it as it comes in and out of your nostrils. And notice your breath's rhythm. No judgment, just awareness of what is unfolding right now. Then scan your musculoskeletal system and notice and sense knottedness, stuckness, tightness, gripping. Again, just awareness on the present state of holding patterns without judgment. And then if you have access, tap into your nervous system and notice the internal speed. This may show up in your thoughts, your breathing patterns, your heartbeat, your challenge in sitting still, perhaps. Just be aware to what is present. Observe what is unfolding in your experience, and don't do anything with it. No analyzing, no resisting, no resigning, just being with the sensations the best you can. If it becomes too much, pause and come back at another moment, and slowly increase the time spent in simply being with what is when you feel ready to re-engage. Notice what is unfolding. If you are able and are connected to the functioning of your internal organs, notice any sensations associated. Again, no judgment, simply witnessing. If you are able, notice the rhythm of the blood moving through your veins. And as you're observing what is unfolding on any level of your experience, see if you can step back for a moment and see yourself, wherever you are located, from the outside, as if you were standing behind yourself. So you'll simultaneously be observing your experience from within and from without. Witness your location. Take a step back further. Witness anything that may be within the room, including colors, furniture, and if you're outside, any nature that's surrounding you, or if you're in a city, buildings or trucks or people. If you're in the forest, the trees, the animals, the sounds. If you're on the beach, the oceans and the waves. And as you're aware of what you're surrounded by, also become aware of the space you take up. And at any moment, if you need to soothe yourself, simply begin a slow humming sound, like the sound of a bee. Or perhaps slide your hands up and down your legs or your arms. Or simply tap very lightly the outer shell of your body. And if you need to add a slow moving rocking motion, feel free to do so. You want to invite a sense of flow, a comforting support. This will allow you to be with whatever is present more easily. Now, once you are comfortable and settled in, come back to your experience of fogginess and any associated uncertainties or lack of clarity that may come up with it. Notice any meaning your mind may be giving it. The mind is a meaning-giving machine. Be aware and present to it without engaging with it. Notice the shifts in your experience as you do this. What is coming up for you in your thoughts? How is your breathing shifting? Are there any physical sensations, holding patterns that emerge? Can you be aware of the shifts and allow them to be? As you witness what is unfolding, allow yourself to take deeper and fuller breaths. And then, with laser-like attention, send your breath to wherever you are experiencing the knottedness. Allow the breath to caress the outer edges of the stuckness. And as you do this, allow yourself to slowly soften. When the moment is right, the knot will soften, layer by layer, until you eventually reach the core. And then, when you least expect it, it will release. And with this release, you will sense yourself returning to flow, and warmth within will shift the weather pattern naturally. There's a beautiful quote by Lao Tzu that I will read to you now that you may use to support yourself in accompanying yourself through this process. Imagine it like taking a child's hand and accompanying them through it. If you would like, you can imagine yourself as a child, and today you is holding little you's hand. The quote is, "Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself?" You can shift this into the first person. Do I have the patience to wait until my mud settles and the water is clear? Can I remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? This is an open question to be with, which will accompany you through the fog, the lack of clarity, coming back to it again and again, especially when resistance arises and you want to force a situation or even yourself in a certain direction. When you are holding tight, grasping, gripping, and trying to control an outcome. Whatever it may be, you can be with this question as a question, with compassion and a willingness to be with any discomfort that arises without identifying with it. The beauty of these practices that I spoke to here today, as well as what we move through together, is that you have given yourself permission to be with what is without getting lost in the wave of it. You have literally reset and begun again. And this is always available to you, no matter your location, weather patterns outside of you, and weather patterns inside of you. Your capacity to dance with, move through, and ride the wave of inside forces and outside forces will develop over time with increased depth, and this does wonders for your nervous system, your immune system, your inner terrain. Not to mention, you will be supporting yourself in navigating whatever it is life is presenting to you at this moment with increased ease, freedom, and spaciousness. Discomfort is part of the growth process. Learning to ride the discomfort without force, knowing that this too shall pass, like weather patterns that bring fogginess in the sky, the body, the mind, the body-mind. Can you ride the experience without identifying with it or getting lost in it? Aware of what is unfolding without losing touch with a grounded sense of who you truly are? Of course you can. It is a practice that will support you through every season of your life. Once being is present, there is a possibility for connection, and sometimes simply being creates discomfort. As all the doing covers up, acts like a Band-Aid, so that we continue with our lives without necessarily facing ourselves. The conundrum here is that if you cannot tolerate what you know or feel what you feel, the only option is denial and disassociation. But the wonderful news is that it is possible for each and every one of us to activate deep, innate resources we all seem to share by virtue of being human. And these resources are available to us throughout our lives. They support us in our learning, growing, healing, and transcendence of who we know ourselves to be. These capacities are folded into our body-mind and into our relationship with each other and the world. We gain access to them starting from wherever we are, which is always here, and in the only moment we ever have, which is always now. And we experienced this together today. It is in our very nature as a species to learn and grow and heal and move towards greater wisdom in our ways of seeing and in our actions, and toward greater compassion for ourselves and others. These capacities need to be uncovered, developed, and put to use. Doing so is the challenge of our lifetime. And when we take on this challenge from a space of willingness and desire to be open to what life has to offer us, and to release the pictures in our minds of what we think life should look like, feel like, be like, what we think we should look like, feel like, and be like, what others should look like, be like, and feel like, something truly beautiful unfolds. An experience of freedom and spaciousness opens up, and with that, ease and a deep knowing that life is not about getting anywhere, achieving anything, or doing anything in particular, although these things will unfold as we need to do something in our precious life. What is important is that all of these things you do, the roles you play, your achievements, etc., they do not define who you are. And when you do not need to fit into a box of any sort, you are free to simply be who you are. And when you are simply who you are, no matter where you go, no matter whose company you are keeping, you then give the gift to others to do the same. And when you are deeply rooted and connected to who you truly are, and move through life from there, you can ride any wave as you trust that when the moment is right, the fogginess will clear, and you will simply take your next step without any attachments to what they look like, and remembering there is no arrival. What a gift. I do hope you found this episode supportive. Feel free to pass it on to anyone who you think could use a listen. Feel free to follow or to like. If you are interested in working with me on any level of body-mind well-being, whether it be through individual body-mind maturation work sessions, perhaps participating in a series, individual privates, or through my video on-demand services, if you have questions, if you would like to engage on any level, feel free to schedule a free 15-minute consult in the appointment section, www.christianepiano.com, or email me directly at growth@christianepiano.com.